Listen, man, let's get right into it here. Let's go inside the mind of Jason Witt, should we say? When you hear the words sports psychology, the mental side of MMA, and all these things, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Mental coaching. I've worked with a mental coach before, so that's kind of where it just goes. Caleb Rogers, the mental sensei, he's kind of where my mind goes for that. In terms of that question.
Yeah.
Secondly, my mind goes, James Krause talks about a lot, the two wolves, like which one you feed. You got a good wolf, you got a bad wolf, and whichever one you feed is one that wins, no matter what. There's an old saying or something of that sort. But yeah, that's kind of where my mind goes, is the whole two wolves battle.
Yeah. I know James Krause, obviously, of course, part of Glory there in KC. Before you came to Glory and then kind of thinking about your time in there now, is there one part of your mental game that you feel has developed the most over the years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've one point, I would say, like a lot of visualization. I think a visualization is an underrated key in mixed martial arts. Just sitting back and like visualizing even the bad stuff. Even, hey, if I get rocked, what's going to happen in the fight? If it goes my way, how do I want to win? How do I want to do this way? I'm a firm believer in thoughts become things. So visualization is a huge component of that. So yeah, that's where I think visualization is the biggest key for me.
Is that something you do? Like how far out of a fight do you typically start doing things like visualization and that kind of the mental exercises specifically to that fight coming up?
It depends. I mean, last fight was 36 hours, so I didn't have any time for. I was on the plane ride watching video, like, well, this will be fun.
Yeah.
It just depends. If I get a fight 6 weeks out, I'll kind of start. Then I'll watch film on the person I'm fighting, and then after that, I kind of just let the coaches formulate the game plan, and then I'll just start visualizing. A couple weeks out, just kind of what the game plan we've worked on, and what intent I want to have inside the cage, my mindset inside the cage, how I feel, how like I feel the canvas being, how I feel like my body, just little things like that, like the temperature of. Sometimes you walk in a cage and you're kind of cold. Sometimes you're watching a cage, you're warm, and then I just kind of visualize that stuff. A couple weeks out.
Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned a bit of your UFC debut. We'll go more into depth of it a bit later, but I want to get a sense because you mentioned kind of hot or cold coming to the cage and whatnot. With there being no crowd at your UFC debut, how different was that for you? Did that make you more anxious, less anxious? Was that easy to deal with? How did that kind of go for you?
Honestly, I didn't notice it. I really didn't. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference was. So my last fight outside the UFC was a pretty big venue. It was probably about 3,000 people, large kind of sports arena, with probably a 50-yard catwalk to the cage with my friends and families high-fiving me on the way there, which was super cool. And that gets you pumped up. But at the same time, like you're in the UFC, like when you're walking out, you can see yourself on the big screen. And I remember walking out and smiling, just like, hey, we've made it. This is where we're at. Like, be proud. I didn't really notice the difference. And I imagine I will. I imagine once I walk into a stage or walk into a 60,000 people crowd, the whole crowd screaming, I imagine it's going to be different. But your first fight on such a short notice, I don't think I had time to even understand the crowd. I was in that moment at that time.
Yeah, because you mentioned that, was it 36 hours you said? Is that the official notice you were given for the fight?
I don't know the official notice, but it was somewhere around there.
Yeah. So. Walk me through a bit of your timeline there, because I got to imagine, or maybe a bit through your mindset during that whole time, because I think for some, I've heard some other fighters in other interviews say that they won't take fights on short notice because they want to put themselves in the best position possible. But it might be a bit different case, of course, for you. This is your UFC debut, and I know you've been waiting for this moment for a long time, right? So just walk me through a bit about your mindset as you get this call. I don't know if it was Dana personally that called you or who called you, but
So time frame was 12:46, 12:49 or whatever on a Thursday. I was at work. My mindset, and James Krause told me this is what I did a great thing of, was whatever it takes. It wasn't like, oh, I gotta do this. It's whatever it takes. I'll get it done. That's the case. I've been talking to Jason House. I got a phone call from him, and then I got a phone call from Joe Wooster, both with Iridium, both my managers. They both called me. They said, "Hey, can you get on a plane? Plane leaves at 3 p.m. Drop everything you're doing. Leave." It was at 12:46. Plane leaves at 3 o'clock. Like, hey, also you gotta get blood work done. Don't even pack clothes. Don't worry about it. I live 10 minutes away from my house, so I ran home. My wife had some clothes for me. I went straight up north, got some blood work done, made it to the airport by 2:10. So get the phone call at 12:46, 12:40, whatever. At the airport by 2:10 on a flight by that. The mindset behind that is you don't have time to even think about it. It's literally, I was eating Chipotle at 12:46. I'm on a car ride, just ludicrous and people down the way, get out the way, like the entire time rolling 9 on the highway. Super stressed out, obviously, but super excited at the same time. Like you're stressed out, but am I going to make it to the airport? Like if I don't get blood work done, I don't fight. Right. So either I make it to the airport, or maybe get blood work done, or I don't fight at all. So I'm super stressed out, like trying to get there, but I'm so excited that this is the phone call I've been waiting for. This is the opportunity that I've been waiting for. Mentally, there's really no way to even comprehend that. You're like, well, I'm just going to get it done and hopefully it happens.
Yeah. And was there any part of like hesitation on your end? Either could put that mindset of like, I'm not going to be totally at my 100% best because you don't have the same camp that you normally get, the same kind of scouting you would normally get for an opponent like Takashi. Was any of that kind of in your mind, hesitation, or was it really just 100% like got to seize the opportunity and whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, that's how it was. Whatever happens, happens. Like I was in the moment. Like I knew I've been training hard, not fight camp hard, but I'd put in the work. I knew I had. Obviously, I would have put a lot more work in. What I would have wanted did a lot more work. But yeah, I was definitely in the season moment opportunity, and that was kind of where I had to be going up to. I talked to Jason House. I think that Saturday, and we talked about it during the fight week too. I bugged the living crap out of him and Joe Wooster every day. Yeah. I would text them and say, "Hey," they're like, "Well, it's just logistics. It's just a plane ride. It's just these people are closer. That's why they're getting signed." And I'm like, I don't give a shit if it's a plane ride. Like I'll take a private jet. I don't care what it takes. Get me there. I'll drive there. It doesn't matter. And so House called me that Saturday. We had a conversation and he was telling me, "Hey, this is probably what's going to happen. This is probably what's going to happen." And then to get that phone call on the Saturday, you're just like, hey, you can't call somebody and say, "Hey, put me in, coach." And then when they call you on 36 hours notice, you're like, well, I'm not ready. I didn't even think about that. Like, you can't do that. You have to be, hey, we're going. Like, this is the way it's going to work. This is what we're doing.
Right. And kind of as the fights kind of come into fruition and things are getting more concrete, walk me through how you kind of set a goal for yourself for the fight. Did you have a certain plan in place going into the fight? I know it was so in the moment, or did you just kind of approach it like whatever happens, like stick to my old game plan kind of thing?
48 seconds didn't get a lot of chance to game plan into it. I did a little bit. I wanted to, shoot a couple shots and just kind of cook him a little bit, put him in his cage, kind of wear him down a little bit so it wasn't so gung-ho on that left hand. I knew that left hand was coming. I knew it was getting set up for the left hand. And I just didn't have time to set up my range, get set up for that. You know what I mean? So I didn't get a formulated game plan. I didn't get to show what I wanted to do or capable of doing because I took that left hand pretty around the chin.
Yeah. How much does that kind of bog down in your mind that you didn't get that opportunity, and how hard is it for you to kind of not come up with those excuses? Because I'm trying to compare this to the average athlete, these questions. I think the average athlete in your scenario, they would think things like, I wasn't given a fair shot, like I didn't get to show who I was really. And some of that probably is true, but I know part of being having a healthy mindset of an athlete is not making excuses for anything, right? So just walk me through a bit about your post-fight mentality and kind of reflecting on things.
Yeah, man. I was super bummed. Obviously, I lost in 48 seconds, but I don't ever make excuses. There's factors that play into the game. There's factors of a 36-hour notice, of a weight cut, of blood work, of this, of that, of that. Those are excuses. Those, you know what I mean? When it comes down to it, I lost. That's just the way it is. So I either have an opportunity to I can sulk about it and be a little bitch about it, which doesn't do anything. I can quit, which doesn't help me at all. Or I can just take it on the chin and keep going. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the type of person that's going to make excuses. It doesn't do any good if I do make excuses and nobody really cares. I have a mantra that I've had, and my clients are mad at me because it's nobody cares, work harder. It's on the back of my phone. It's what nobody cares. Work harder. Like nobody cares if we took a fight on 36 hours notice. Yes, it plays a factor in the fight, but that's, that's just the way it was. That's what happened. I fought, I lost. Let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody cares because there's probably going to be a million fighters out there that would gladly take a fight on 36 hours notice, right? They'll take a fight on 0 hours notice if they get their shot in the UFC. So I always think about that too. Like there's always one person out there that's willing to do this thing, whatever's in front of me. And it's, again, no excuses.
Yeah, I mean, look at Jorge Masvidal. He used to go fight on 6 days notice for the World Championship of the World. Like that, you got to seize those opportunities. And for me, this was my opportunity to get in the UFC. I got a 4-fight contract. Regardless if I fought or won or lost, it was like my key in, and that's what I had to do. Like I had to make that sacrifice. And you asked mentally, like I'm super stressful, but at the same time, it's no excuses. Nobody cares. Work harder. Like nobody cares. Go in there, just do your job. That's what it comes down to.
This whole kind of post-fight mentality, whether it goes good or bad, I'm sure you try and still keep somewhat the same mentality after a fight. Have you always had this mentality as a fighter, or early on in career did losses kind of sting a bit more?
That's a really good question. I haven't always had this mentality. I've done a lot of soul searching through a lot of people, through my mental coach, Caleb Rogers. I've done a lot of talking through James Krause, Trey Ogden, a lot of people who are, they say surround yourself with people you want to be like, and those are people I want to be like, personally, mentally, business-wise, mentally, lifestyle-wise, all that stuff. That's not how I've always been. I've always a couple of years ago, like I think we even talked about on the plane earlier. I think a couple of years ago, some of that stuff would have broken me. Some of having 36-hour notice fight, I would have been mentally just not prepared for that. I would have worried about having to get blood work at 8:00 at night, when this one doesn't come through, or I have to worry about doing medicals all day long the day before a fight without having any time to even sit down and being like, oh, should I do this? No. So yeah, I didn't used to be like that. I think the last couple of years, I've just kind of just man the fuck up in general, you know what I mean? Change the way I thought. And there's still gonna be times where I have to fight to that, and that's fine. But I think me as a man, I've changed a lot of who I am in the past couple of years.
I think it's so important, like you said, to recognize there's still going to be times where there's a bit of a down in your mentality or in your career, whatever, but it's about accepting the mistakes. Big thing I talk about with a lot of the younger athletes that I kind of consult or coach with is I tell them mistakes are going to happen and failures are going to happen. It's about accepting them and learning from them, not just kind of pushing to them side and pretending like they didn't happen at all. Nobody's perfect, right? So many kids, they look at somebody like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, whoever, they think they're the most perfect athletes in the world. You go into their stats and they miss shots. People in the UFC, they get knocked out. People lose fights, right? It's all about, I think, when these younger athletes realizing that you can strive for perfection, but not necessarily you're going to get it per se. But you need to have that mentality of perfection.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put in the work regardless. You can't ever achieve perfection, but we can damn well try to get as close as possibly can.
Yeah, I also like how you mentioned another I think huge important lesson, and something I always bring up in this podcast, actually, how things in sports translates to personal life as well. And you talked about having that close circle of friends, like those five people around you, they kind of make up who you are, sort of thing, or you tell people who you are. That's such a personal lesson that I think people get in sports is when you surround yourself with the right people in sports, those people not only help you as an athlete, but they help you in life in general, because those people are generally, committed to something. They're there to offer you good advice. And it's just another thing that I kind of tell a lot of kids is surround yourself with the right people, because it's going to help you develop as an athlete, but also as a person overall. Like I'm sure there's countless number of life lessons you've learned since you joined Glory.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. James Krause does a post-practice speech every day. And if you've never heard one of those, that man is, he'll motivate the shit out of you. I'm like, why don't you give these before practice starts? But yeah, he's super motivational. That you have a lot of people like James Krause. My father-in-law is a very wealthy man. So on the business side, I talk to him a lot too. You just, surround yourself with people who you want to be like. And, I think the saying is, hang out with 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth. Or hang out with, this person, you'll be the sixth, whatever. Yeah. Hang out with 5 homeless people, you'll be the 6th homeless person. So it's just the who you surround yourself with is kind of who you become.
Yeah. I want to get to one of the fan questions here. This is from @B_Kahani, KHANI for those keeping track on Instagram. My buddy is the CFL player agent, but he asked, he wanted to know what's one of the most challenging hurdles mentally in performing at such an elite level that you've had to deal with.
Uh, Man, that's a good one. I think the biggest hurdle I had to go through was I fought a kid as an amateur. Okay, fought a kid as an amateur, and I smoked this kid. One of the most vicious knocks I've ever had in my entire life. Fast forward a few years later, kid's a pro. We're both pro fighters coming up, and the kid smokes me. I go into the fight mentally just broken. I don't know. The kid talked shit to me the whole time. Didn't perform well at all. Submits me. And for that was probably like my biggest loss, my biggest turnover that I, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I smoked this kid and then he went in and smoked me on a professional level when it really counts. So for me, that really turned me over. I think that's when I started going to Glory a little more often. That's when I started getting a mental coach. That's when or one of the reasons I started getting a mental coach, or more into that in depth on that part of it. I changed a lot of stuff up in terms of how I train, hitting mids, the intent I had behind it. And that was probably the biggest mental part that I ever had to go through, or biggest step.
Yeah. And I think too, it takes kind of a certain type of ego, or not having a certain type of ego, to be able to accept help from others, right? I think so many athletes, they think that they know everything, and you tell them to do something, they're just going to do it their way, right? But it takes, I think, you almost have to kind of man up and understand that there's people out there that know so much knowledge and can kind of share it with you. And like you said, being able to go out there and get a mental skills coach and go to Glory more and listen to a lot of coaches. I know probably for you is probably more natural, but I think for a lot of athletes out there, they struggle trying to get help from other people. And I always try and really just kind of focus in on the value that coaches can bring to athletes. I think some people don't really truly appreciate how much a coach helps with an athlete.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know why you wouldn't. Like, if you want to be one of the best fighters in the world, if you want to be one of the best businessmen, like why would you have so much ego that you don't want to change? Like, if you're the smartest man in the room, right, you're in the wrong room. If you're the best fighter in the room, you're in the wrong room. Like, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You're never going to grow. You're never going to get better. And that's the way it is. You got to figure out something, whether you put your ego aside, put all that aside, put your mentality aside, and go in there. And unfortunately in our sport, you have to learn to lose. Like you can't get better at this game without losing. Like, that's just the way it is. You have to go on and put your ego aside and lose every single day until, you keep climbing that pecking order.
Yeah. Cause unless you're Khabib, every fighter's lost a match in their life, right? You just have to you have to accept losing. It's part of not only sports, but life in general. Right. But especially in MMA, it's such an important skill to learn, is to learn to lose before you learn to win, type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Khabib's it's just,
I can't wait to see him fight again, but we can have a 3-hour discussion on him, I'm sure. I know part of, growing in the whole mental side of things, we mentioned mental skills coaches and your time at Glory and stuff. I know there's a certain aspect of it that's kind of self-driven. Going through your social media, I know you've read a lot of books in 2020 so far. Is there a couple books that stick out that have really, really, really helped you out so far this year?
I'm reading Profit First right now. So I just bought a small personal training gym, a little studio.
Nice.
It's my first business, so I'm kind of reading into stuff like that. A lot of books that I think James Scott's put me on The Secret. I don't know if you ever heard of The Secret, but it's check that book out, or it's on YouTube. Just check it out. Just YouTube The Secret. It'll come up. It's one of the most. It just talks like in depth about how thoughts become things, visualization boards, stuff like that. I think that's probably the number one book I would recommend, or number one video I'd recommend to people who are just starting out, like on their kind of mental journey or whatever. How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's always a great book.
That's an awesome book. I haven't read it personally, but I've seen snippets of it and seen reviews online. That's probably one of the most well-received books in the history of mankind.
Yeah, you got to read that one. David Goggins, you can't hurt me. Dude's a gangster. His mentality. I think he's either he's just completely insane, or that's just the next step of mentality and human beings. The things he's done, to be completely broken, have to run 100 miles and then run the Boston Marathon or qualify for the Boston Marathon. 2 weeks later, just there's something broken in you, or completely right, one or the other. Those couple of books have really, really put a lot of emphasis on my life, and I've read quite a few, but those ones really kind of stuck out to me quite a bit.
Yeah. Have you always been into books and reading stuff, or is this something that's kind of happened more recently?
No. So I drive probably about 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes to Glory. every day and back to work and all that stuff. I can't read a book. Let me rephrase that. I can read. But reading for me, like sitting down, reading page by page, I just fall asleep. Like if I'm 5 pages into it, I'm tired. But an audiobook, I can do on my way to work. I can do on my way to Glory, back and forth. So I can get like an hour in each day. And so that's something I started in 2019. I think either James or somebody kind of put me on that, saying, hey, you have time in your car. You can either listen to music and learn nothing, or you can learn. And it's just played influential in my lifestyle too.
Yeah. That's something, that's exactly the kind of mindset I have towards books. And interestingly enough, since COVID has started or lockdown has started, whatever it is, I've been able to read less and less, even though I'm at home more, but I was so used to doing the audiobooks or podcasts on the way to work. Like, there's so many good sports psych podcasts, or even you can get a really good Joe Rogan episode out there. You get some really good mental lessons from that too. But but I always try and recommend to kids, bit harder for them when they're 9 or 10. They can't drive, of course, but just throw in some headphones or your AirPods and just listen to it in the car ride, right? Especially, on your way to a hockey game, for example, or a football game. There's certain audiobooks or podcasts that could be really, really influential, like 30 minutes before a game. For you, do you listen to anything like that before a match, or is it just 100% like focus on the match? Like, don't worry about it. You don't need any extra motivation, I guess, at that point.
No, at that point you don't. I think with any fighting, the fight is supposed to be the fun part. It's supposed to be where you're relaxed. Yeah. The hard part the hard sparring should be out, 2 weeks, 4 weeks out or whatever you're at. Yeah. The mental preparation should be done the week before. It should all be done by that point. Once you get the weight cut week and fight week, you shouldn't have a lot of worry about that. You should worry about the weight cut and just kind of visualize the fighting, stuff like that. I think I've done it before. I think I've listened to like Eric Thomas before a fight. So I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Yeah. I used to do that, but I haven't recently. I'm just kind of a little more calm and feel like the preparation comes before the fight comes.
That's kind of like the approach. I mean, kind of to compare that to something in a personal life. In university, I used to do that for exams. I'm like, if it's the day before, or like 2 days before the exam, like how much can I really learn, right? I'm just not going to cram it in and I just play video games for those 2 days. So I don't know if that was, me actually thinking I can't learn anymore. I just want an excuse to play video games, but that's kind of what that reminds me of as well. Like when you get so close to something, there's no point cramming it, because that kind of almost creates some stress or anxiety in of itself when you cram things.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You gotta kind of let the training do the talking, and trust that the training is all there in your mental memory and in your muscle memory, and just go out and have fun, like you said, because fun is such a huge important
process.
Yeah, fun is such a huge important process of sports. If you're not having fun, you're probably not going to be doing well.
Right. I'd like to see statistics on that too. Like somebody who studied all the way up to the test, and then somebody who studied like 3 days before the test and then played video games the rest of the day, like who did better? Or like a person who did, like, I don't know, there's actual scientific factors behind not studying right up to it or playing video games or whatever it is. I think
I mean, if we'll see what the results say, but if they say play video games, I'll be all over that. I'll be posting on every social media outlet I can to promote the play of video games.
It's a new mental coach thing right there.
That's right. I have a little game like that here in the podcast before I wrap up here. I have a collection of sports psychology quotes. I have 18 of them. We won't go through all 18, of course. We'll be here to the next UFC event. But I'll get you to pick a number between 1 and 18. And I'll read you the quote and then just reflect on the quote a bit. Tell me what it means to you and what it's meant to your career so far.
Cool. 7.
This is we kind of talked about this one already, but it'll be good to get a bit more in depth in it. This is from Doc Rivers, legendary NBA coach, of course. He said, good athletes want to be coached, but great athletes want to be told the truth.
Yeah. That's a powerful one. I've never heard that one. That's a good one. Yeah, mentally for me, that one, there's a lot of times, like through personal training, especially too, like there's people who like want yes men in their life. They want to just be told that they're right all the time. Like that shit doesn't work in here. You got to be truthful. You like, if you're doing the form wrong, you get hurt. Like if I'm lying to you and telling you you're doing it right, you're gonna get hurt. You're not gonna lose weight. You're not gonna do that. In fighting, if you have yes men behind you, you're not gonna train as hard. You're not gonna get. You're gonna get pushed as hard as you want to. So mentally, I'd rather be told, hey, you're messing this up. You need to train harder. You need to do this. Than somebody just being yes men or saying, hey, are you doing a great job? You know what I mean? That makes sense?
Yeah. And I think, when I heard that quote in the context of MMA, I think this is one of the more important quotes in MMA, or this quote really rings true in MMA more than other sports. Because you think of other sports, like there's in a football team, there's a wide receivers coach, they work with the wide receivers, quarterback coach works with the quarterback, so on and so forth. In MMA, there's so many variations of MMA. There's like jiu-jitsu, karate, taekwondo, whatever it may be, right? Grappling, wrestling, striking. There's so many aspects to it that it's impossible for you to be a master in all aspects. I mean, you can strive to be a master, but there kind of always will be a weak game, I think, to somebody's MMA game, or you always have your specialty. And I think there's so many opportunities for MMA fighters to be told the truth if they're not doing something right, and to kind of improve on it, listen to the coach. So that kind of really rang true with me of how important that kind of thing is for MMA, because there's so many different aspects of MMA, so many different specialties you can be in, and so many parts of your game you can work on.
Yeah, I think you can't disrespect the game either. You're going to get exposed one way or the other. You know what I mean? Like if you're a fantastic striker, one that comes to mind is Yair Rodriguez versus Frankie Edgar.
Oh yeah,
right? He's a fantastic striker. Rising up, you're going to get exposed if your jiu-jitsu's not on point, your wrestling is not on point. This game will expose you one way or the other.
Yeah.
So in terms of being told the truth, the game's going to tell you the truth, whether somebody is or isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Yair Rodriguez found out the wrong way. That that was the truth for him. Like he had to find out that, hey, I got to work on my wrestling, I got to work on my jiu-jitsu. And I think this game will do that to you if somebody's not.
Mm-hmm. Is there any sort of big lessons you took away from your last fight? I know you said it didn't go the way you wanted, but is there one really big lesson that kind of stood out that your coaches have told you that you're really working on right now?
Yeah. There's a couple things. I'm not a long fighter. I'm not a rangy fighter, but I fight really long. I'm super explosive and I come into the pocket really fast and really out. I need to work on just being more like inside the pocket and just kind of swing and bomb. Like I hit hard and I know I do.
Yeah.
Second is just kind of being a little more mean. Like just not saying I'm like not a mean person, but I just need to, in a cage, I need to be in there in somebody's face, like just slanging leather.
You got to flip that switch. Yeah. It's hard to do. Yeah.
It is. I love fighting. I think I love competition more. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not like, you're not going to find me out fighting some dude on the street. You're not going to find me being violent. I'm not a violent person, but I love competition. And I think for me, flipping that switch, like I do flip the switch. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it needs to be like more like a mean side. I'm going to be in your face. Like I'm trying to hurt you.
Yeah. 100%. Let's do another quote here. You have another number between 1 and 18? 12. This is a good one. This is from Serena Williams, legendary tennis player, of course. She said, I decided I can't pay a person to rewind time, so I may as well get over it.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Work harder.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Work harder. I mean, you can't, as much as I want to get that fight back, as much as I want to take those 48 seconds back and start all over, I can't. Yeah. I mean, I can't. That's something I have to live with the rest of my life. It'll never happen. You can't rewind time, unfortunately, but yeah. Does it bother you?
Does it bother when you go on social media and you see like the knockout being posted over and over again and stuff? Does that bother you when you see those things, or do you try and just like kind of let it pass?
No, it didn't. It does because I lost. Like I don't want to see that, but mentally, I just want to figure out what I can do better and move on from that. Like I lost the fight. Like I can't you can't turn back time. Whatever. You can't rewind time. So I just want to move forward on what I can fix. There's no point in looking at like I'll watch it a couple of times. I'll see if people will tag me and shit, whatever. You can't see stuff, but from now I just have to move forward, put it behind me. In this game, you have to have a short memory. You really do.
Oh yeah.
You can't sit in the past. If you do, you never get anywhere. You'll be stuck in that past the whole time and never improve.
And I got to imagine not only short memory after fights, but within fights as well, between the rounds. Like you could lose a round like 10-8 or something, right? Or think you lost a 10-8. Of course, you won't know the official scores in the middle of the fight, but you have to have a short memory. Like whatever happened in the last round, always forget about it, because in MMA or UFC, there's always a chance, like a split second, anybody can win. You can always get that knockout in a split second, a submission hold in a split second. And it's really about the short memory, not dwelling on a bad round you had, right? Because there's always the round ahead.
Yeah, right. Cross always talks about like let's say you lose round one, like you still have like 66% of that fight. Whether round one was lost, like you didn't get knocked out, you still have 66% of that fight to get going. Or even if you lost round 1 and 2, you still knock that guy. You still have a fight. Like don't come back to the corner being all butthurt. Come working hard, ready to win round 3. Even if you lose the fight, at least you like gave your entire effort for round 3. That 33% you still have left.
Is there one fight in particular that sticks out where you feel like the mental side of things really, really helped you and really led you to that win?
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't think of like his name. Fights out of River Sport. Oh my gosh. I had the most clarity. Why can't I think of this kid's name? That really drives me crazy. Anyways, I just went in there and felt just super clear. My body felt super relaxed. I felt like I was at home. Yeah. I felt untouchable. It was just, I knew going in that no matter what happened, I was winning that fight.
Yeah.
It's just the way it was. Like whether it went 3 rounds of a war, I'm not sure I had a couple of those. Whether it went 3 rounds and it was a war, or whether I knocked him out in the first round, like I knew I was coming out victorious.
It's all about confidence, right? You got to walk into that cage with the confidence that today's your day. Because as soon as you have that little bit of doubt in your mind, I mean, the match is over pretty much.
It just keeps growing. Keep growing.
Yeah. Last thing, I have a couple rapid fire questions here for you. End off on somewhat of a fun note. Obviously, weight cutting is a huge part of MMA, but after the match is done, you got an opportunity to cheat meal. What's your cheat meal of choice?
Minsky's Pizza. It's a. I don't know if you guys have Minsky's in Canada.
No, I haven't heard of Minsky's. No.
Minsky's Pizza in Kansas City. It's the best pizza there is. I don't care. Fight me over it. Whatever you want to say. Yeah. It's just a local. We used to live. My wife and I used to live next. Like we go walk to it. So after a fight, we just go walk up to it and deliver it, or we go order it and go and walk into it. And it's some of the best pizza I've ever had. I love like Chicago style pizza. So it's not a Chicago style pizza. It's kind of it's a medium mix between, but it's phenomenal. It's the best pizza I've had.
Yeah. Last year, Buddy and me went to Chicago, and we got deep dish pizza, of course, when we were there. And we made the mistake of like both getting a large or XL. And like, I thought I was going to puke, not puke because it was so bad, puke because it was like so thick. It was like 3 inches thick. Yeah. Right.
No, like 2 pieces and you're done. Like, like 2 New York style pieces, you're good to go. But like Chicago, you just have so much cheese, so much bread, so much everything in the middle. You're just like, you're done.
Yeah. What's summer? It's of course summertime, and everyone's kind of getting into the ice creams and popsicles and stuff. You got a favorite ice cream flavor that you always go back to?
Oh man, we went to Andy's frozen custard last night. I don't normally go to ice cream places. We went there last. I'm a peanut butter chocolate like fanatic. So like whatever I go to, it's peanut butter chocolate, anything, whether it's cookies, whether it's cake, whether it's ice cream, whether it is what it is, whatever dessert. So last time I got it was called James Brownie Funky Jackhammer. I don't know why.
That sounds dangerous.
It was vanilla ice cream, peanut butter, and brownies all swirled in the custard, and it was to die for. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Love it. I'm same. I'm a huge chocolate and peanut butter nut. Anything like DQ that has chocolate and peanut butter in it, I'm all over it. Like for my birthday, like just give me a chocolate peanut butter ice cream cake. I'm good to go.
That's the way to go. Man. That's what's it.
There we go. As you're getting into the fight game and MMA and stuff, did you have like idols that you looked up to, or people you tried to role model your game after, or people you just looked inspired to get you into the fight game?
Yeah, George St. Pierre.
Oh yeah,
that's my dude. Yeah. Neither one of us was like wrestling high school or college or whatever, and we're both super athletic, and I feel like we kind of had the similar tendencies in terms of like growing up or whatever. So I just kind of idolized his jab and his strength conditioning. Like you'll see him jumping hurdles, right? You see him doing hurdles for explosiveness, and I did that. And I just kind of idolized the way his game was.
Yeah, I know he does so many of those like aquatic workouts too, right? Like with the ankle weights or whatever, or weights underwater. That stuff looks so crazy. Like I think to like unless you get in there and doing it, I think a lot of people that aren't familiar with the sport or that type of training don't really understand how difficult that training is to train underwater. It's so difficult.
Yeah, man, I might look like Michael Phelps. Not at all.
Right.
But I sink. I don't do great swimming. So whatever aquatic workout there is, I'm out.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite sports team or favorite sport outside of MMA?
Yeah, I'm from Kansas City. We just won the Super Bowl. So like I'm not a huge sports fan. I'm not a huge like group sport fan.
Right.
But yeah, to see the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl was pretty incredible.
That must have been. What was the city like during then? Was it just pandemonium? I got to imagine it was just.
I was in Florida actually. I was actually in Florida on family vacation training. Man, it's so cool to see a city come together. Like I was here for the Royals and the World Series. Like whether you're a sports fan or not, like to see the city come together and that much love for a sports team, especially now with all like the violence and the protesting, like shit going on. Like to like remember what the city was like at that point. Like there was no racism. Everybody was just so super happy to watch the team win. Mm-hmm. It was super incredible. It was super cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, I hope that the world kind of gets on the right ship again, and we can see things like that happen again. Because those huge crowds, who knows when something like that can happen again, right? I just hope that it all comes back pretty soon.
Yeah.
Last question here: who do you think would be a good guest in the podcast? Somebody that you know, another fighter, or somebody at Glory, or whoever it is that has a real strong mental game. Somebody that you really look up to in their approach to MMA or sports in general.
Oh yeah, James Krause, Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson's a good one.
Yeah.
He's fighting soon. He's fighting in Abu Dhabi, the 18th of July.
He's on Fight Island, eh?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Him and Krause, Grant's a young kid, and I've seen that kid grow, and that kid's confidence and mentality towards the game. I guarantee you that kid will be a UFC champion. I promise you that. It is a different ball game when you're with that kid. Just to see his journey is, I think he'd be a good one to talk to. His mentality, like he literally has like the strongest mindset inside the game. Like it's pretty incredible.
That's awesome. It's awesome to hear, especially younger kids having a strong mindset. Because I always feel like the younger generation doesn't have a true appreciation to the mental side of the game. I don't want to generalize too much here, but I generally find that athletes that are in their late 20s, early 30s kind of understand the mental game more than like teenagers or kids in their early 20s. So it's just really nice to hear that as part of Glory, you guys are really focusing on the mental side of games and really bringing up these kids right.
You really have to. I mean, it's a huge part of the game. It's a huge part of what makes you successful.
Yeah. Listen, man, let's wrap it up here. Appreciate you, of course, taking some time to come on the pod today. I know your UFC debut didn't go quite the way you wanted, but I was still super excited to see you and to know how much a UFC debut means to an athlete. I was super excited for you to get opportunity. And again, I'm really excited to see you back in the octagon and show what you got.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for those words. Super excited to be on the podcast. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for talking to me.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jason. Take care, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.